The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find. The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style.
Good evening and welcome to the Big H Podcast. My name is Mike Hayes and I'll be along for the ride on this one for Conversations with Crumb with our Hilton Parma historian Dave Crumb, who has a special guest today, Mr. Howe. Dave, take it over from here.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be back again, and I'm delighted to introduce Howe. Al's one of our senior partners in the village of Hilton, and he has a lot of good memories to share with us, and we want to catch some of those this evening. So I'm going to let Al introduce himself as to who he is, where he's originally from, and then he's going to talk about growing up in the Hudson Valley. Al?
Oh, good. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Pleasure to be here. Well, I was born at a very early age. We'll start with that. And in Poughkeepsie, New York. And Vassar Hospital. And my parents at the time lived in Millbrook, New York, which is kind of a wealthy town. Senator Bonnecue and all the rich guys lived there, you know. And my father was a chauffeur for one of the rich dudes up there. He had one of these cars with the glass in between the rich gal and the driver, you know what I mean? And so he used to drive the old lady down to New York City for shopping and stuff like that. So my first encounter that I remember almost getting killed, I was about 4 years old, and they had just got a brand new LaSalle for the chauffeur stuff, and I found a can of green house paint, and they had just driven the car in from the showroom, and I managed to paint the car a little bit. I didn't like the color black too much, so and so just before I got killed, the owner
didn't run over
because my father was really close. But that was my first encounter with the law as far as I go.
Okay.
But anyway, my first 3 or 4 years I spent in Millbrook, and then Pleasant Valley was about 8 miles west of that, and so I lived my sub-teen and teen years in Pleasant Valley. Lived on a farm. The Howe estate there was 150 years old when I was there. It was a big old colonial with big pillars in the front, just like down south, you know. Of course, my folks, we lived in the tenant house across the street, but it was on the farm. And I had my own pony. Until I went in the Navy, I had a horse. And it was Depression time.
Yeah. What year would that have been?
That was probably in 1931, 2, somewhere in there. I was about maybe 5, 6 years old.
That's about 90 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah. And I know we had a big 50-gallon barrel of cornmeal in my bedroom. And we had cornmeal mush, we had cornmeal cereal, we had cornmeal muffins.
Wow.
Because we didn't have much to eat, you know.
But you didn't starve.
But we didn't starve. To this day, I like cornmeal. So
Yeah.
Not too bad. And we raised pigs. We had about 125 hogs, and we had a garbage route. We had a horse and a wagon with about 4 big barrels on it, and the folks in Pleasant Valley saved their garbage, and we had a regular route, pick up the garbage for the pigs.
Sure.
And then a month or 2 months before, we started fattening them up a little bit, corn and stuff. But that's how we kind of survived there.
Those Depression years,
Yeah,
not many people can remember those anymore.
I know.
And that's one of the reasons we wanted to get your insight on that.
Oh, yeah,
It was
I
tough
remember.
going.
I remember just about everything. I remember my first grade teacher. Every Sunday, her and her husband used to ride horseback down past our house. Uh, and, every Sunday. I can still tell you probably 90% of the people that lived on the road. So I have a good memory. So, but that was my years in the valley. They were good years. I started singing very early. I was in the barbershop quartet when I was a teenager, and of course, music's been part of my life all my whole life. Um, yeah, I can't think much more about the valley.
But back in those days, didn't everybody have an instrument, or didn't they like to sing or do something musical? Wasn't that because there wasn't a lot of TV or radio or cell phones?
Believe it or not, well, there's no TV. I don't remember much music. My uncle, which was like 3 or 4 years older than me, he had a nice voice, and he sang for years in a church in Millbrook. But his kind of singing and mine was completely different. I sang, when I started singing in taverns and stuff. He was strictly religious stuff.
Religious, yeah.
So when I started singing, I changed my name because my grandmother was against drinking, and so I changed my name to Don Ayers, and I was on the radio.
So you really had an early singing career, didn't
Oh, sure.
you? Yeah.
I made the singing commercials with another guy. I sang with choral groups, and yeah, I sang in when I was in high school. I for New York State, one of those New York State things where the schools compete. I came in first on that.
Wow.
With my voice, I had a beautiful voice. Everybody said. And
Do you still sing?
I still sing now. I sound like Gabby Hayes now, But
That's great. I remember when you did the what would we call it, a musical for the bicentennial.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 2009.
Yeah,
We've got copies of that in here.
I wrote that, and I wrote the music for it.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I still enjoy listening to it.
Yeah, I put that together.
Now, was K. Dodd in on that?
Kay was in on Dale Palmatier was a reader, and Pete, he died. He was a big guy in the Legion.
It's okay.
Yeah, but that was fun.
Yeah.
That's good. So, that's about it for the valley.
What about now? You said you grew up near Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
But once we were talking about New Paltz, New York, and you
yeah.
mentioned this fellow Levi Calhoun.
Oh, yeah.
And he was quite a character, I understand.
Oh, yeah. Levi lived in Highland, but back when I used to hire him when I had a tractor and stuff, he was strong like an ox. Everybody said that his mother was scared by a horse when she was carrying him, and he acted like a horse. he had blinders, he had harness. His brother Luke, Levi would plow a garden up, pulling the plow. He'd pull a plow, and his brother would steer it. And a big garden, I mean, not a little. And Levi pull a plow, and when he'd run, he'd pull his wagon down to the village. His head's going back and forth, and he actually acted like a horse. And so he was a friend of mine. I went fishing with him. Him and I went eel spearing one night, and he rode a bicycle. And he used to drink quite a bit.
You should drink quite a bit?
Yeah, my father ran a tavern, and so anything that anybody left over, my father would pour in a pitcher. And then on Saturday, when Levi came in, he'd drink that, whatever was in the pitcher. So naturally, one time, and then they put him on a bicycle and they give him a push, and wherever he fell off, that's where he stayed till he drove it up, see? And in a ditch down to South Avenue, whatever. And so he wrecked his bicycle. So the New Paltz students, they used to come and talk to him all the time. He was a real pioneer. He lived right in the mountain. He lived his building was right along the railroad, right next to the railroad tracks, and had a tin roof on it, just like a shack. And in fact, one time his sister didn't pay her when she got her old age pension. She didn't pay Levi, so he tore that part of the roof off her house. And so that was Levi, And so, but yeah, he was quite a guy. And he got a new bicycle, and he didn't know how to work the brakes because he had regular pedal brakes on his old bike. And so he got hit and went to the hospital. And when he come home, he knew he was dying, so he went up on the side of the hill, got a big stone, carved his own headstone out, and then he died. So.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. What year was that?
Oh God, that had to be in the 50s, early 50s.
Early 50s.
54, 55, somewhere. Yeah.
What about World War II, Al?
Yeah, well, I joined the day I was 17. And
I thought you had to be 18.
No, I'm 17.
Take it 17, okay.
Yeah. And so the day I was 17, we all got a bunch of buddies of mine. We all joined the same day. And my father at that time was a beer truck driver. And so I had to have his signature in order for me to join. So we had to look up my father. And so he was way down near West Point with the truck. By the way, he found him. And I said, Pop, you got a sign for me to join the Navy. He said, well, all of your friends here will help me carry this beer down the basement. I'll sign. So all we got, barrels of beer, and the old man didn't have to do nothing, So, so that's how I joined the Navy.
Okay.
And I went to Sampson for 3 months.
That's down in Geneva, isn't it?
Yeah. And went through there, and then I got sent to Pensacola. And that didn't work out too good. I took typing in school, and so I wanted to be in Pensacola. I wanted to work on airplanes, So they put me in an office down there. And of course, being 17 years old, I didn't know to take orders too much.
Yeah.
So I had a woman officer, so I didn't last long in there. I got in trouble. So she shipped me over to someplace else, and I was let's see, what she send me there? Oh yeah, swimming. I was a swim instructor and a lifeguard. I had to take all kinds of tests, swim out in the ocean for 8 hours a day.
Wow.
And I was, and if you're on a ship in the Navy, you got to pass C&D test. You got to be able to swim a little bit anyway. And I came home on leave, and when I got back, one of the guys in my group passed somebody without making them swim. And so I got nailed when I got back. And one thing led to another. And so I got shipped out of there. And so I went to Corpus Christi, and there I got on airplanes, finally. So there I was in all kinds of squadron. The first squadron I was in was these yellow perils, these ones that dust the crops around here. That's how they learn. That's the primary trainer. And A6 is, all the way up through to twin engine Beechcraft. Yeah. So that was my Navy career in the Second World War. I didn't do a heck of a lot.
Well, you were young. You didn't go abroad, did you?
Not in the Second World War. No. I was 17 to 19. So then I got home and got married, and then I got called back in 1950 for Korea.
Yeah.
And there I was on a ship, on an aircraft carrier, and we lost 1/3 of our pilots over there on my squadron. We were there right at the height of Korea. And then before we started home, my head chief petty officer says, "Hey, the captain wants a show when we hit the Hawaii. We want to put on a show." He said, "Do you think you could put something together?" So I said, "I'll try," because I already had a quartet in the squadron. So I taught 36 guys 4-part harmony with a pitch pipe.
Nice.
And we put on a show like a minstrel when we hit Hawaii. And I taught them about 4, 5, 6 songs, and get all the bases together one time, teach them, then put a pitch pipe. So, and the captain said, well, the admiral, whatever he was, he said, "That's the best show the ship ever had." So
nice. Oh, that's great.
That was it for my.
Well, you like singing, and that was something you could do, and made the whole experience all the better.
Oh, sure.
Did Bob Hope ever come in? You know, he used to go and entertain the troops.
He never. Well, nobody came on the ship that I.
Yeah.
We were right in the middle of it over there.
Yeah.
We were working 24 hours. And it was. We didn't get anybody in there.
Yeah.
To put on a show. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I had the barbershop quartet, and we had fun with that anyway. So, and the squadron was from Olathe, Kansas. They were called the Bitterbirds because they were all college guys from KU and K-State, and they were weekend warriors. In other words, on the weekends they'd fly.
Sure.
Most of them were World War II veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you lost one of them out there, it was more than just another pilot. They were all buddies, I was the only one out. I was the first New Yorker in, and they didn't like that either. I was very quiet for the first 2 or 3 months for me. They wanted all Kansans, which was logical. So
to work your way in.
I worked my way in. So that was it. That was my naval career. Then I ended up down at Sampson until they closed here 2 years ago. I was a guide. I went back down and guided on weekends at their they got a thing there, Harrisburg and all that stuff. Very nice museum.
Okay.
Then it turned into around 53 or so. It turned into a Air Force museum. No, but it was a very nice museum. That's the end of my military.
You moved to Hilton around 1960. How'd you happen to come to Hilton?
Well, I came up from Poughkeepsie. I had just got my journeyman's card at the paper down there, and of course I had 6 kids at the time, and the Democrat and the Times, they were going full blast now. And you could work all you want. I worked 3 baggers, 4 baggers. I was making good money.
Yeah. You had to with 6 kids.
Yeah. And so I came up with another fellow, and we took the job. And then another guy came up from Binghamton, Kenny Short. I don't know if you know Ken, but he lives here in Hilton.
Ken Short?
Yeah, Kenny Short. Yeah.
The name's familiar, but
He lives over, you know where he is. Pleasant Way, I think it's a cul-de-sac near me. Him and I started there at the same week, September 1st of 1960. And then he moved out to Hilton, and I came out to visit him one time. I was renting in the city. So I said, yeah, it was pretty nice. So I bought the house at night at 61 Hillside and signed the papers and everything else. And then the next day I came on, I saw they had put that great big water tower right in the backyard that I didn't see at night. So that was it.
Yeah.
My wife called once a week, the water's pouring out of the water tower. She calls the village, the tower's overflowing, you know. that was a weekly thing.
Now, is that the house you still own?
No, I left there and went over to 38 Short Hills. When they put the apartments in there, I didn't like that. They ruined everything there.
Oh, I hear.
I didn't need a sump pump or anything. And when they put those apartments in, I had water in my basement. I had to dig it. I had to put in a sump pump. And before that, my basement was dry as a bowl. So anyway, I moved down to Short Hills, and I was there about 5 years. Then my oldest son moved out to Kendall, and so I went out one time and I saw a nice piece of property right near him, so I bought it. So after I built, he moved. So I was out in Kendall. My wife don't drive. You know. So I went to Florida on vacation, and I says to the wife, well, how'd you like that? She said, I like that. So I sold the house in Kendall, moved to Florida for 5 years. And then the kids got on my back to move back. And so I'm at 2 Hillside now.
2 Hillside.
Yeah, I've been
right off of 259.
Been there for 30 years or so. Yeah, I moved back in '92. So that's about it.
You've been moving around a bit.
Well,
and that's good because you see a lot of different perspectives that way. Yeah.
In 5 year, it seems like 5 year increments I moved. I was at 61 Hillside for like 17 years. But once I started moving, then it's kind of that way now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of you see like Crumb. He was in Florida for 5 years. Now he's not there anymore. He's up in Carolina.
He's in Carolina now.
So once you make that move, once you break,
it's easy to do.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you miss Florida?
Not really. Yeah, I liked it there, but
not this year with 110 degrees this summer.
Yeah, but I worked in Florida. I used to paint roofs and hook up phones, and I did a lot of odd jobs down there. And my wife cleaned houses. And, we got there in Florida. And, I'll tell you that story. We rented a place for a year. I'm there 2 weeks. And this guy comes around. He introduces himself as the president of the association. So he says, we need a vice president. He says, I said, well, what do you got to do? Because I want to meet people. He said, all you got to do is get the donuts on Saturday. He said, I said, that's the vice president's job. He says, yeah. All you do is get the donuts. I said, okay, I'll take it. 2 weeks later, he gets a heart attack. So who's the president now?
Yeah.
I didn't know a soul.
Oh my God.
My first meeting, I hit the gavel. I don't know anybody, you know. So, but it turned out real well. I made a lot of nice friends.
Well, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
To know people. Yeah.
That's about my life in a nutshell. And after
What
I
was
moved,
your first impression of Hilton when you came out here?
I liked it because I'm from a small town. You know,
Yeah.
Pleasant Valley is about the same size.
You don't have the hills like you did in the Hudson Valley, though.
No, that's another thing I noticed.
Yeah.
And it's flat out here. Toward the lake, it's flat. I like the hills.
Beautiful, that Hudson Valley.
Oh, I come from the Hudson Valley where, you know, Chopin, Dam, all that, New Paltz, Shawangunk Mountains, and I did hunted down there with all the. I used to have deer run by the mountain. The Shawangunk Mountain is owned by two people. It was owned by the Smiley brothers.
Yeah.
And they owned about 80,000 acres, and no guns. And so finally, the deer were eating their flower gardens and everything else, so they opened it up for archery. The first couple of years for archery, you'd have 15, 20 deer run by you, you know. It was paradise. But
I used to work for the Smiley brothers when I was in college.
No kidding.
Down at Mohawk.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience being there. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's beautiful roads through that mountain.
Yeah. It's still going.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And on weekends, those cliffs, you can't even find a parking place. Now, the people come up from New York and climb the cliffs.
Yeah. The Smileys were Quakers, and you couldn't drink there at the resort.
Nothing on Sunday. Nothing.
But I was a bellman, and I used to make a lot of runs to town for some of the customers.
Yeah. Isn't that a beautiful hotel?
It's a gorgeous place. It was built in 1869, and they ran it well. And the family, I'm not sure the family still owns it, but they did up until just a few years ago.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Great place. Of course, the room rates now are like $500 for the weekend or something.
Well, that's not bad.
But you get all your meals included. Yeah.
I knew they were Quakers. And, that's beautiful there. Anybody that's in that area, they don't take in Lake Mohawk. You know?
Yeah. It's a great area, and I love to go down to the Hudson Valley any chance I get just to explore it.
If you get a chance, anybody gets a chance to go to the Hudson Valley. That bridge that crosses the Hudson, now it's a state park.
You told me about that a few years ago, and I actually went down and walked out on it.
Did you?
Out of Poughkeepsie. Yeah.
Doesn't that sound?
Yeah.
That thing is
a great idea.
300 and some feet high. I remember when trains used to cross that two ways when I was a kid. Because I remember that. See, back then there was back to Levi. He was the baggage man for the college, for New Paltz College, and there was no railroads. The boats, you know, they come in. There was railroad, but it wasn't like today. The kids would get off the train and then take a bus or whatever, and Levi'd be the baggage man, and he ran. They never beat Levi to New Paltz. He ran 10 miles with a wagon, a big wagon, full of baggage, and they never got there ahead of Levi.
He must have been in great physical shape.
Oh, he ran where a Shokan.
Yeah, the reservoir.
He ran from Highland to Shokan back. And I heard one story where they wanted him to race. They wanted him to race down in New York. But the trouble was, he wouldn't slow down for the turns. And so he beat everybody, but he'd be going so fast he couldn't make the turn. Just couldn't. That's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. But Levi was.
He's a character to remember.
He was one of a kind. Yeah.
They have any kind of monument for him down there in Highland?
I don't think so. He had a little roof that was, his house was built inside of a hill, like a stone. You know how they used to store food for the winter? Well, he lived in that roof. And he had another Pete was his husband. So that's.
To change the subject just a little bit, Al, as we're moving along, I'd like to ask Tell me what you remember about Walt Horman. Walt was a great guy. We all knew him. And
Yeah, Walt was a good guy. I'll tell you how I met Walt. The first day I moved in the 61 Hillside, I went out the next morning and I started my car and I heard, wow! Well, it was Walt's cat in my motor. See? So I raised the hood, I bring the cat out, so I don't know what to do, so I walk across the street and I ring the bell. I said, Walt comes to the door, I said, is this your cat? Yeah, I said, well, here it is. You know, and that's how I met Walt. So, yeah.
Well, I miss Walt. He was quite a Renaissance man around the village. He riding his bicycle, and
Walt was a tough guy.
Yes, he was.
He put up a stink when I wanted to do this veterans thing out here. Him and Bill, what's his face, gave me a hard time about that.
Really? Bill who?
Bill, the mayor then.
Oh, Carter?
Carter.
Okay.
Him and Walt, they gave me a hard time about it. Everything had to be the height. They couldn't have nothing higher than the other thing or something.
Oh, boy.
And,
now, did you have a hand? Were you the instigator of the memorial park?
Yes, I was.
That's important to talk about.
Yeah, I was. Well, there was a girl, Brenda Malschmitter, was the Legion commander then. And for months and months are talking about veterans.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I can't stand this.
Talk. Yeah.
So I took the bull by the horns and I went to Kodak and I got that marble that there was a measuring table.
Yeah.
They had two of them. They had an 18-foot one and they had this one. And I said, oh, I don't know if I want that 18-foot. So I took the other one, got a flatbed truck. Again, I got, what's his face, the brother, put the foundation in for the spear.
Oh, Ryan and
His brother.
Steve, yeah.
Yeah, they put the foundation in, and Barkley and I and Pete Brazil, is the guy I was trying to think of before. We were primarily into that. I designed that, and John Barkley took care of all of the bricks and the names and all that stuff. But I actually designed the stone and the flower bed and all that stuff. And so we got it done.
Well, it's a great contribution to the village. And of course, Joe Lee instigated the Wall of Fame here for the veterans. And that took off like wildfire.
Yes, my picture's right up there.
I got mine up there, and I got my brother's, and everybody could bring any picture in, and those walls filled up faster than prairie fire. It was amazing.
The one thing I didn't get done that I wanted to get done, I wanted to change the name of this park out here. It's Centennial Park now, which means nothing. Centennial is Centennial. I wanted to change it to the Hilton Parma Veterans Memorial Park. I couldn't get past Larry Gershwin and a few of them others. So that was a battle. And I lost.
Typical small town.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
People.
Oh, you
Everybody doesn't think alike.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But Centennial to me don't mean nothing as far as the name of a park. Yeah. But Veterans Memorial with the gazebo right there and all that, but that didn't fly. So that's the one thing they got me on so far. I'm not dead yet. I'm okay.
Keep working on it. There you go. Well, Al, this has been great. Do any of you gentlemen have questions that you'd like to ask Al before we wrap up?
Nothing personal.
Oh my God. I don't know. I just see you're very humble when you referred to your service to the country and everything. And how do you see our country now? Like, what do we need to do to get back to that greatest generation of your day?
You're never going to get back to it. Never. The way it's going now, you don't even have a country now. A country is supposed to have borders. In order to be a country, it's got to take up a certain space. Now, nothing. So I predicted, well, they said democracy only lasts 250 years. I believe it. It won't be here another 50 years. It's going to be, I don't know what your politics are, but the way it's going now with every big city is a loser. Every single big city is a loser. The crime is rampant.
There doesn't seem to be any control either.
There's no control. No, but that's the way they want to be. The government at that time now is run by the liberal left, whether you like it or not. And that's it. You just got to roll with the punches. That's my own personal.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
there's an awful lot going on, and I think you're right, though, to recapture what it once was. That's a particular time in history.
Never.
But that's why we do these interviews, so that we have benchmarks of remembering.
Yeah.
And,
I'm sure if you talk to somebody newer than that, see, I come from that era, so
yeah, you remember the Depression.
Yeah.
When $1 was $1.
And I'm stuck on the way I was brought up and the way the things were. That's the way I liked them, and there was nothing wrong with them. And now there's a lot of stuff wrong with a lot of stuff. So there's something wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
But and I don't think it's regainable. I don't think we can get it back. So that's my good idea.
Well, Al, thank you very much for giving us this time, and maybe in a month or two, we'll invite you can come back if you think of other things that we missed tonight.
Yeah. Well,
Michael, this will be recorded, and you'll get a chance to listen to it, and it's a nice piece to have. And thank you.
I was fun. Bringing up old memories and stuff, So.
Well, I've always enjoyed chatting with you, and always learn a thing or two.
We've always done.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
And you are a Hilton treasure, and I think you're a national treasure too. And the humility really shines through. And it's been an honor having you on the podcast, having Dave be the host. And this has been Al Howe with Dave Crumb and Mike Heiss on the Big H Podcast, and we'll talk to you real soon.
The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find